there, welcome to Parenting Hacks with Dr. Yanina, and today's episode is episode 18. Hello there, welcome to Parenting Hacks with Dr. Yanina. I am so excited that you're here with me today. As you know, this is a weekly show in which I share one or two parenting hacks to help you stay connected and have healthier and stronger conversations with your preteen and teen. And in the last few episodes, and to be more specific, episode 14 all the way to episode 18, I have been having conversations with preteens and teens and just asking them to give us some tips on how we can be better moms. In today's episode, I have Justice as my guest. So Justice, welcome to the show. I am so happy to have you. And can you tell our moms how old you are?
16.
16, so we have a 16-year-old in the house.
Yep.
Thank you so much for being with me today. And Justice, you are a 16-year-old. And a few years back, you were what, 13, maybe 12. And one of the things that moms that I work with, they tell me about that they're concerned about is the fact that when kids go from being 11, 12 to 13, 14, 15, they start to pull away. They start pulling away, and then some moms have a hard time understanding that or even accepting it. It's kind of hard because, you know, when you guys are little, you're all around us, and you guys like hugs and kisses and being around parents. But as you get older, you start to back off a little bit. You want your independence, and you kind of want to be on your own.
Yep.
And it's not necessarily that you're starting to hate your parents. It's not necessarily that you want nothing to do with your parents, but it's something that just comes within you. And then moms, we kind of try to figure out, okay, how we can communicate with you guys better, how can we stay connected? How can we just keep that relationship so it doesn't fade away, right? So yeah, as a 16-year-old, what are your thoughts on that? Do you have any tip for moms that, you know, to help us stay connected and communicate and with a 16-year-old like you?
Well, I think it is important to notice that transition between preteen to teen. You're gonna have to get rid of some of that control over your kid.
Okay.
Which is important because they need to know who they want to become,
Right.
especially in like my case, at my age. You know, when college is coming up, things like that, you want to know who you're gonna be when you're gonna be an adult.
Yeah.
So that freedom gives them that opportunity to explore themselves.
Yeah. And I'm sure that that's something that you're living right now with your mom and your family.
Yep.
What kind of like message do you want to send to moms when it comes to you as a 16-year-old or 17, trying to just pull away a little bit? What kind of message you want to tell them so they don't feel bad about it, they don't feel rejected?
Oh, yeah, it's just perfectly natural. It's not like we want to do it. It's not like we're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
It's just we want to be able to find our independence,
Right.
know that we can do things by ourselves. Especially like my age, you start driving, you get to have more responsibilities, more freedoms. So that's important that they realize what's going on in your life.
Yeah, you just started driving last year, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow, I know Justice since he was a little boy, and seeing him driving, it's just been like, wow, it's just, and Alec, my son, it's heading that way. Now he has a permit, finally, and so he's practicing and learning now. Just seeing these boys go from being little boys to now being teenagers, almost college students.
Yeah.
It's just, it tells you that time flies by. And that's why it's so important that we take advantage of the time that we have them with us and not over empower you guys, or not that's not the word I want to say, not kind of like not over
Micromanage.
Right, micromanage everything. What are your thoughts on that? You know, because parents, we want to keep track of everything, and some of us like to control everything and make decisions for you. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's definitely, I think as a teen, it's important for a parent to be there when you need help.
Yeah.
Not exactly there all the time, but when you really need them, then they need to be there when it's the most important. And then like those conversations where kids might have trouble, you're probably the first person that they'd want to come to. So it's important to be like open and receptive when that time does come.
Yeah, and that's very true. I'm always concerned about, and I'm always talking about the importance of parents. We should not be coming with an agenda in mind when you guys come to us. It's not the time for us to bring things that happened in the past, right?
Yeah.
It's not the time for us to be CIA agents either. It's just the whole thing about just being open-minded and being intentional about listening.
Yeah.
You know, because I think you guys can feel right away when we're not paying attention.
Yeah.
And tell me about it.
Well, yeah, my mom works from home, so, you know, if she's on a call or something, I know not to mess with her. But once she's done with like her work time, then I know when there's good times to talk, have a conversation, and things like that. If I need to come to her for help, and she's always there, so that's good.
Yeah, and I think some parents, they feel kind of guilty because, I mean, you're blessed that your mom works from home, and I work from home too, so my children, it's a similar situation with my children. But I know a lot of moms that work from 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or overnight, and they feel so guilty because they don't, sometimes they are home when the kids are in school, and when the kids come home, they are working. So there's this sense of guilt that they don't have time to listen to their kids and be with their kids every day, all the time. And but they do, when they're home, they do try their best to spend quality time with them and be intentional about listening, but they feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? What kind of words of encouragement you can give to moms that it's just life, you know, they're not there every day, but when they're there, they're intentional, they're good about it. What kinds of, I don't know, what can you tell them to help them feel better, that it's okay?
Well, your kids definitely love you. I just you need to be there when they need you the most. I think it's important that you're like receptive to anything that they might have, that you're not judgmental about something that they might come to you with. And then, like, obviously a lot of problems that they might have, they will solve on their own. So you need to give them that freedom to do that as well.
Yeah. It's almost like at this point we're more like coaching versus kind of telling you what to do. You know, because you're kind of at this age, you're trying to figure out your identity. You're trying to figure out what's right for you, what's not. And sometimes you think something is right. And we moms or parents know that it's not. And I think it has to do with the way we approach you with the situation. You know, I like what you're saying, that coming in a non-judgmental kind of way versus saying, oh my gosh, Justice, you're making the same mistake again. How silly is that, right?
Yeah.
Versus having a more like a conversation with you about it.
Yeah, the tone's really important. Like not trying to like tell them what to do, more trying to like suggest. And then when like you make mistakes or something, like the child makes mistakes, it's important to explain why that was wrong and not just say, well, because I said so or something.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the key. That is so important. That because I said so. You know, I remember when my kids were tiny, were little, I used to say that. I used to make that mistake. But soon after, I realized that is so not healthy because you become like a dictator, you know, and your kids are going to see you like you're not being authentic. You're just there telling them what to do. And as they get older, at least when they're little, they don't get it as much as when they're preteens and teens. That's when you kind of like, if your mom come to you and say, because I say so, what will be your reaction? Your natural reaction?
Well, I always ask, well, why am I doing it in the first place if it doesn't make sense to me? But if I still don't get an answer, then, you know, I just do it anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though your mom would have said, because I said so, right?
Yeah.
It's just the whole idea of you understanding why it's wrong.
Yeah, there's just some subjects where there's like so much like back and forth on like why am I doing this? And like why she wants me to do this, that you know, there's sometimes where you just got to deal with it.
Yeah. And sometimes the conversation cannot happen at that moment.
Yeah.
The conversation has to take place maybe later on tonight when everyone is kind of calmed down versus trying to fix everything right away. You know, and we know Annie, my audience knows Annie, that she comes in and out in the middle of the video. So you have thrown so many bombs today, good ones. You know, I like to recap. We talk about the whole thing about spending time listening. You know, we talk about that. We talk about not coming across as a dictator, right?
Yeah.
But rather just to come in a more authentic way, like carrying more, you know, more curiosity and helping. We talk about the tone of voice.
Yeah.
What
Like
we use.
speak to them as their equals, not as like they're lower than you, or speak to them like as their children, because they've grown out of that by now.
Right. It's a more horizontal kind of relationship versus that vertical that I tell you what to do.
Yeah.
You know, I like that. I like that. And yeah, the whole thing about actually spending time with your kids.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say? Oh, you've been pretty good. I really appreciate you. Have given a lot of knowledge bombs in here. I really appreciate. And moms, I'm sure you are like taking notes seriously, because Justice has been pretty good at kind of sharing with you what kids 16, 17, and 18-year-olds, how they react toward us as parents based on how we approach them. And I really appreciate that. Before we go, is there anything else you want to just say? Any last parting words of knowledge and wisdom that you've been holding?
Well, I just know that it's difficult for moms to, with that transition from, you know, either child to teen or preteen to teen or whatever their kid's going through. I know it's hard for moms to give up that control. So we get it if you're like over micromanaging us or something. So that's all I want to say.
Yeah, you get it, but at the same time, you're ready for us to let go a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Thank you for spending time with me today.
No problem.
There you have it, moms. Thank you so much for watching. And before I go, I just want to remind you about my book, Moms Don't Quit: How to Influence, Empower, and Stay Connected with Your Preteen and Teen in a Noisy World. If you have not gotten your copy yet, I invite you to head over to your local Barnes & Noble or Barnes & Noble online or Amazon so you can get your copy. So I will see you in my next episode. Have a wonderful week. Bye.